Hello, good evening, and welcome to the United Stand. You might be thinking, hold on a minute, this ain't Mark. You're right, it's not Mark. My name's Levin2K, and I'm here to deliver you the latest Manchester United transfer news and news in general. There's been plenty of news about today. We got the headlines on the screen. It's on the left. It's that way. You can see it on the screen there. We got plenty of headlines. We're actually going to start with Raphael Varane because Real Madrid are offering Vinicius Jr. on a loan deal as a sweetener for Raphael Varane, and that's via MUFC MPB. Now, look. I'm like many of you. I saw this today and I thought to myself, hold on a minute. Like, what? Do you know what I mean? You know when you sort of think, am I reading that correctly? Because where's Vinicius come from? Like, I know we're trying to get the Varane deal over the line, and all of a sudden I'm hearing things about Vinicius, like, fair play to Vinicius, but I don't really see where that's come from. Now, what I will say is once I had a second to sort of think about things and think what's actually going on here. Look, Real Madrid want to get rid of some players, want to gather some funds because they really want to push to get Kylian Mbappe, whether that be this summer or, next summer, whatever it is. Like, they want to be able to get Kylian Mbappe. Now, Vinicius is somebody who, apparently they want to sort of move on to be able to raise the capital to do that deal. And with that, I can sort of see where, we're on the phone with them, like, Matt Judge or whoever it is, Ed Woodward's on the phone with the Madrid representatives. And they talk about Varane, they're talking about Varane. They're like, all right, we'll call you later and let you know what we think. And then on the end of the phone call, the Madrid guys are sort of going, hey, yo, look, if you guys are also interested, we are letting go of Vinicius for about 60 million or so. So if you're interested in that, like, just ring us back about that. Like, I feel like, do you know what I mean? That's what the kind of vibe it gives me. It doesn't seem like United are actually interested in doing that deal. It seems like that's just something that Madrid are shopping around. They're letting top clubs know, look, Vinicius is available. I wouldn't, expect us to do Vinicius still, right? It doesn't make sense. We don't need him. You look at the wingers we have Rashford, we have Sancho now, we have Martial, we have Greenwood, we have Ahmad coming through. We even have Dan James, lo and behold. So look, I don't really think this is something that we should be too concerned about. I'm sure we'll start to see a lot of top teams be linked to him. Maybe we'll see Liverpool linked to him. We know Liverpool might be in for a wing or whatever with that con stuff going on. So, I wouldn't be too surprised by this. I wouldn't be too worried by this, I should say. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate all the love. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful evening. Remember to like, share, comment down below what you think of the Varane deal so far. The reports today are suggesting that the Varane deal is becoming... It looks like things are starting to move in the right direction. We've had a couple conflicting reports. I'm going to read out a Romano update that came out today because Romano did update us not too long ago, within the hour it seems, and he said, situation clear on Varane. He's ready to accept Manchester United contract proposal until 2026 if the agreement between the clubs with Real Madrid will be reached in the next few days. So it does seem as if Varane is starting to, we're getting closer to that point where, we might be able to hear, here we go in the next couple of weeks or so. Look, Varane seemingly is being respectful, right? That's what Romano said. Romano said Varane will be respectful to Real. He's not out there saying, look, I'm done. I'm gonna, transfer me right now. Like, he's not doing that. He's not demanding a transfer. And, that's the respectful thing to do. I think a lot of players nowadays will do that. We saw Sancho do that with Dortmund, and a lot of people will be listening to this thinking, Levin, well, Sancho should have done that, right? It made the deal, last a lot longer than it should have. But at the moment, that's just how it is with Varane. He's not forcing the deal, but at the same time, he's not signing their contracts that they're offering him, right? So he's letting them know, like, realistically, I'm not staying there. So I'd appreciate if you did, like, crack on with the deal. And I think it's only a good thing. It's only a good thing that we are moving closer to that point. Why winger not see them? Look, guys, if you're wondering about the whole Vinicius thing, like I just said, I wouldn't be worried about it. It does seem like, Real Madrid are just trying to shop around. They're trying to shop their players, let teams know, let teams with money know. Because at the end of the day, United, we are one of the only teams who seemingly has money in this market. And so I think they're just trying to let teams who have the money know, we have a player available who is a wide player, and that's Vinicius. It doesn't make sense for us to be in for him, and I don't think it's that. I just think more so it's Real Madrid letting teams know Vinicius is available. If you want to get that deal done, that's how much it is. But yeah, Varane obviously is a lot closer. I think the big thing with Varane now is just, us giving that official bid, right? Us sending in that official bid. And based off of the language I've heard, we've had a lot of reports about, a bid eventually coming in the next sort of couple of days or weeks. Based off of the language that's being used, it does seem like almost like a Donny situation from last season where the bid that we put in is probably going to be like the bid that will be accepted first time. It seems like we're not like throwing in bids and waiting for them to respond. It does seem like we are trying to get a number agreed with them so that when we send that number, snap, the deal done. Do you know what I mean? That's the sort of feeling I'm getting based off of the way certain reporters have been reporting about the deal in the past couple of days. And so if we do see that official bid go in, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. But look, let me know once again, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of this whole Varane deal so far? I think we all know sort of the player that we're getting to some degree, and we know that it's a massive improvement, but the job's not done there. The job's not done there. You know, there's still plenty that has to be done, even beyond just transfers, right? I think as United fans, sometimes we can all get caught up in the idea of, you know, ooh, what players are coming in, what players are coming out. But like, you know, our football club is more than just transfers, right? There's plenty to be excited about. I've been really excited watching those training videos that we've done. They've not been as like good as the England videos, right? You know, there's some background music and a lot shorter, but watching those training videos, watching Ollie, you know, seemingly coaching, you know, during preseason is a lot of fun. We're getting people in this, like Clay Buzz said Camavinga next. Look, I think a lot of people are obviously going to be, you know, saying, look, the DM needs to be next. There's been rumblings and some conversations and talks from, you know, Manchester United insiders and whatnot, you know, essentially just saying that, you know, the club is very, very interested in Declan Rice. And I want to know what you guys think in chat, whether you guys would take Declan Rice or Camavinga. I want to know Declan Rice or Camavinga, which one you would take if you could get him. I think a big thing about Declan Rice has always been, he's just too expensive, right? He's going to have the English tax. He's going to be too expensive. But look, let's say you're not thinking about that right now. Let's say you're not thinking about, you know, too much about the price. You're thinking about what player do I want? Would you pick Declan Rice or would you pick Camavinga? I think Camavinga probably has a higher ceiling and he's a different type of player to Rice. But Rice is obviously Premier League proven, right? Rice is a kind of player where he can play 38 out of 38 games in a Premier League season, right? And that's the kind of thing Ollie loves, right? Ollie loves that kind of thing. You know, he wants to be able to play his best players every single game, week in, week out. So, you know, maybe that's an option. I think a lot of people in chat saying Camavinga. I'm only seeing Camavinga, I'll be honest. I feel like I shouldn't have even asked the question because the whole chat is literally saying Camavinga. We got Big Marvs saying Basuma. You're always going to get that one guy that throws in a different name that you got to appreciate that. Look, I think Camavinga technically is also probably a much better player. And like I said, he has a higher ceiling. The big thing is, you know, is Camavinga at the stage in his career where he will be able to hold down that sort of single pivot role? Now, I personally do. I think he'd be great at being able to screen the defense. And I think he's a very press resistant defender or defensive midfielder where, you know, he's good on the ball and so he can get out of the situations. But to be fair, you know, Declan Rice has also showed that he can do that as well, right? In the England, in the finals, right? You know, I don't want to talk about the Euro finals too much, but watching Declan Rice and that, there were many instances in that game where Italy's press, they just couldn't deal with him, right? He'd step away from players, he'd move away from players. So as much as, you know, as much as I think people are leaning towards Camavinga, if the club is pushing for Declan Rice, I wouldn't be upset about that. I personally wouldn't be upset about that. But nevertheless, I think the most important thing is that we do get a DM, right? You know, like all of a sudden, like we're all in a position where I think because of the way the summer seems to be going so far, we're all like, yeah, you know, I'm not really feeling Declan Rice. I'd have Camavinga, but it's like, we should be grateful. Like, we should just be like, okay, let's actually make sure we're getting a DM first. Then let's start getting picky about who it is. But it definitely does seem like the club is moving in that direction. We got the one and only legend, Zayim Yassi with a super chat. Arteta out for buying Ben White. A joke. Guys, Mark said it earlier. Sorry, I'm sorry, guys. It's very hot here in the UK. Look, Mark said it earlier. It is so good to see Ben White trending, and it has nothing to do with Manchester United. It's honestly so good to see that. It is what it is. Look, it's funny because I don't think Ben White is a bad defender, and I think Ben White has the potential to improve, but he's just not. He's not the significant upgrade that you'd want on Lindelof. And I think that's a big thing that you want out of the centre-back that we buy. You want a significant upgrade from Lindelof. I've recently spent a lot of time watching some of the previous games from last season, especially the games where we had comebacks, right? And I think somebody actually put a compilation. I'm sure there's a good compilation on YouTube somewhere of like all the games where we had to come back this season. And like the majority of those games, the mistake that led to goal would come from Lindelof, whether it be Aston Villa when Traore scored that goal and Lindelof got bodied off the ball, or whether it be there was just so many games where it'd be Lindelof either, you know, not being good enough aerially or getting muscled off the ball, right? And, you want your defender to, not have those kind of errors in them. And I hope that we can sort of get that out of Varane. And so shout out Arsenal for getting Ben White off the books for Brighton. Wonderful. Jordan in chat says Lindelof is way better than Ben Shaik. Guys, come on, let's be nice. Let's be nice. Let's be nice. You didn't have to go. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to go there. This is good. I honestly, I love you guys. You guys crack me up. The things you guys will come up with is insane. Ben White for 50 mil, and we're getting Varane for less than 50 mil. So it's a crazy world, right? It's a crazy world. Even with Varane having 1 year left on his contract, just that thought process, just like, looking at those two things in isolation, Ben White 50 mil, Manchester United getting Varane for less than 50 mil. Like it just doesn't even add up. It doesn't even make any sense. Beyond just, the Real Madrid stuff, right? Beyond just negotiations with Real Madrid, of course, you can see on the left there, we have the Bruno Fernandes training with his former club, Boavista. Apologize if I'm saying that wrong. If you're Portuguese and I'm saying that wrong, please let me know the correct pronunciation in the chat. But look, I saw a bunch of people outraged. Now, I don't know how, us as the United Stand community are feeling about this, but I did see a lot of outrage on Twitter about Bruno, like, training with his old club. And, like, I'll be honest, I don't think it's that deep. I really don't think it's that deep. And I know there'll be a bunch of people that might be thinking, look, if he's going to be training anyway, he should come back to United. Look, it's not that deep. All this is, right? All this is you might never just, you're in secondary school. Maybe you've even moved on from secondary school and you're an adult now, and you go back and you visit your primary school, right? You go back, you visit your primary school, you see your old PE teacher, you kick it about with him, you have fun, you say hello to the youngsters and all. That's all it is. You just go, like, I actually saw somebody who said, like, Bruno regularly goes back to visit this club, Boavista, because it's like, it's the first club. It's like, this isn't something of like, he's actually going there to prepare for the new season. That's really not what it is. He went there, he did like a nice little training session. He's, talking to the young goalkeepers and giving them tips on how to save his penalties. That kind of thing. It's relax. And as much as people will still say, either way, Levin, like, he should be resting. Like, he has had a massive, long season. Fair enough. I think with how long of a season Bruno's had, playing 70-odd games or whatnot over the past year, you do want him to rest. He just seems to be that guy that he just wants to stay fit. At the end of the day, even when players will go on holiday and take their breaks or whatever, they will still do things to stay fit. Whether that means, 10 push-ups in the morning, 10 push-ups in the night, or, you're actually banging gym, people are still staying fit. You know what I mean? They're still staying fit. And so I'm not surprised to see a player, doing some sort of a workout. Like, it's funny because just a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was even like last week, Lingard, there was like a video of Lingard playing football in Greece, right? And it was like, he wasn't at preseason training, but he's like there, like playing football in Greece. And it's like, do you know what I mean? That's just what footballers do. They like to ball. Do you know what I mean? They like to ball. They enjoy playing football. But it really isn't that deep. He'll be at United training relatively soon. He's back in Portugal, visiting old family, visiting his old club. That's just how it is. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't overreact to that by any means. Trust me, guys, Bruno will be all right. And for the people who, for some reason, don't like Bruno, I feel bad for you. You're missing out on just a bunch of enjoyment, because I sit there and I watch Bruno and I'm just happy. I'm not watching there with any bitterness in my heart whatsoever. But on the topic of Lingard willing to stay at United to fight for his place, and that's coming from The Athletic, who are, very reliable. Shout out to The Athletic. They're pretty good with their stuff a lot of the time. And that actually scares me, because if Lingard is willing to stay at United to fight for a place, he must just not have ambition of being an England player again. He mustn't really just not care, about, showing to people that he is a top class footballer, because, pardon me, at the end of the day, he's not going to get much game time. He's just not. What, you playing Lingard ahead of Bruno? You playing Lingard ahead of Sancho? You playing Lingard ahead of Greenwood? You're not playing him ahead of any of those people. You playing him again ahead of Rashford? You playing him ahead of Martial? No. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see where he's going to play. And I know he was great for West Ham, but he was great for West Ham. He needs to be great for United, and he's not going to get the chance to show he's great for United. He needs to move on. And we all, I keep generalizing here. We all love Lingard. I love Lingard, and I'm sure a lot of you do love Lingard as well. And so I want the best for him. And staying at United is not the best for him. He clearly has an attachment to the club. How could you not? Do you know what I mean? How could you not have an attachment to the club? But this whole fighting for a spot thing, I'm not buying it, man. I really am not buying it. We got Zayn Yassi with another super chat. Levin, can you ask Mark why he says Spurs is like Arsenal? They have no trophies, rubbish mascot, not invincible. All they have is a better stadium. Oh, Zayn, look, Zayn, I know that one, it must be burning you that you know, your club's gotten to the point where people are comparing you to Spurs, but you know, it just shows how much you've fallen, really. So I can't even, you know what I mean? I can't even disagree too tough on that one. But, you know, I appreciate the super chat. Nevertheless, someone in chat said, poor Kane. Yeah, poor everyone that has to play for Spurs or Arsenal. Look, I really hope Lingard being willing to stay at United isn't the case. And not because I have anything against Lingard, strictly because I actually want the best for Lingard and I want to see him do well. He's not the type of player that should be sitting on the bench for us. He should be out there at you know, Leicester City or you know, West Ham or Leeds or whatever, you know, showing that he can be a top Premier League player. He should be doing that. The World Cups next year, he narrowly missed out on being in that squad, right? You know, he was one of the people where you would have thought he would have got into the England squad just barely after Trent got replaced and whatnot. But, you know, he didn't make the cut. And he's not going to make the cut for the World Cup next year if he's on our bench. So, is what it is. Guys, let me know what you think in chat. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think Lingard should stay or if you think Lingard should leave. I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of leave. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is. I'm getting a lot of people saying, welcome. Yeah, guys, thank you. I appreciate all the love. You guys have been, you've been very great to me. You've been very great to me. And I do appreciate it a lot. How wonderful the community here is just brilliant. The community is just brilliant. Suzanne said, I said it before, Lingard needs to go. Ooh, I've missed a message. Put it up here. I said it before, Lingard needs to go to help revive his career like he did at West Ham, and staying on United's bench will not achieve that. And look, I agree. I do agree because when you look at it, you've just got to play football if you want any chance of actually just showing what you can do to the likes of Gareth Southgate and even to the fans. And maybe he doesn't feel like he has anything to prove. You know, that in itself is sort of a weak mindset. You know, you don't really want that in a footballer, but I just don't get the rationale. It's like, is Ollie doing some sweet talk? Like, you know, I saw the video of training, right? And, you know, Ollie sees Lingard and they're all happy and he puts his arm around him and they start talking and whatnot. And like, you know, Ollie must be a smooth talker. He must be a smooth talker because the only way Lingard would be willing to stay to fight for a place is if Ollie's giving him the sort of the idea that he can actually get a place if he fights hard enough. Do you know what I mean? Because Lingard was here last season. Like, guys, this is the crazy thing, right? Lingard was here last season, right? It's not like he was injured or something, then we loaned him out. Like, he was there. He was available and he just never got a chance. Never, ever got a chance to play. So, like, I don't know what Ollie's said to him or what whoever has said to him to make him think that, you know, now he's just all of a sudden going to get a look in. Like, what, are you going to play Carabao Cup games? That's not. You know what I mean? Lingard's better than that. He is better than that. He should be, you know, playing week in, week out in the Premier League. But it's what it is. Come on, Sancho. We're all waiting for that Sancho announcement, Kong. We are all waiting for that Sancho announcement, but hopefully it comes soon. I don't know what it is now. I think, you know, I've seen people talking about the possibility of maybe, you know, they're going to wait to get the Varane deal done and maybe another signing and you announce all three signings together or that kind of thing. And look, those kind of things do have an effect. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you announce a bunch of signings together, it has an effect. And, you know, so far, the signings of Sancho and Varane, they will have an effect, right? And so to pair them together as an announcement would be just insane. It'd be absolutely insane. And it'd be, you know, it'd be huge. And so maybe that's a possibility. But at the moment, I'm not going to sit here like I know what, you know, the Man United marketing team are thinking. Like, we don't know. At the end of the day, we should just be happy that we know that realistically Jadon is our player now. And it's looking like Varane will be our player soon. That's all we can hope for, really. Yeah, a lot of people in chat saying exactly what I expected. Lingard should move on. Lingard should leave. That's just the way it should be. Splashnet in chat says, we need a CDM, not another headless chicken. Look, I think a lot of people would agree with you. A lot of people would agree with you. Thank you very much for the donation, Mark Griffiths. It's greatly appreciated. Guys, once again, be sure to get the likes, the comments, share the video everywhere. Let people know what's going on in the United Stand tonight. We are having a wonderful night, some wonderful news. And speaking of more news, David De Gea returns to training 2 weeks early, and that's coming from the Star. Now, guys, I think we all know what this is. De Gea coming back to training 2 weeks early. We all know what this is. You know what I mean? He's trying to secure that #1 spot. Do you know what I mean? It's like he doesn't want any problems. He doesn't want to end up in another situation where it's back and forth, him and Dean, who's #1. And even though I think that's what's going to end up happening, he's coming back to training early. He wants to, show everybody what he can do, show everyone that he should be the #1 goalkeeper. Now, we've had plenty of goalkeeping debates, right? We've talked about who should be the #1 countless times in the channel, and just in general as a community, as a fan base, we're constantly talking about who the #1 goalkeeper for United should be. Now, it feels like they don't even know who it's going to be. Like, it genuinely does feel like nobody knows who it's going to be. And so we're in a situation where you will start getting these reports, right, where people are taking note of the fact that De Gea is returning to training 2 weeks early, right? Like that in any other scenario, that's not a report, right? That is not a report. If you heard tomorrow that, Alisson has returned to Liverpool training 2 weeks early, that's not a story. Do you know what I mean? It's not a story because there isn't anything to it. But, unfortunately, we're in a position where we have two goalkeepers, two good goalkeepers who are battling it out. And it seems like we don't even know who that #1 is going to be. Now, I've said countless times, regardless of who the #1 is going to be, I'm going to back them. I think it should be De Gea, but, some people might favor towards Dean. It's like, I don't want to get into the debate because it's like, there's great points for both sides. There are great points for both sides, and it's the reason why it's been a debate for so long now. But at the end of the day, it's just a messy situation. And considering that the one thing Ollie has gotten a lot of credit for is for, the lack of these messy situations, you know what I mean? The sort of general squad morale and vibe seems to be quite positive, even with certain things that happen. Like, even when that whole Raiola stuff happened where you're saying Pogba's leaving, obviously, yeah, we lost to Leipzig the next day. But, like, even then, like, there was still quite a lot of positivity. Like, the players seemed like they were really together and everything just seems, good. But this is just not good. Like, you can't spin this in a positive way. And I know, like, that's what the club will try and do because, you want positivity around your club. And, Ollie seems like a really nice guy. And I'm sure, I'm sure he feels bad regardless of what decision he makes, right? Because either way, you're letting someone down who, will feel like they deserve the right to the #1 spot. But we just can't have this. We can't have this. I don't want, like, if we get the signings that we need to get, if we get Varane, if we, Sancho's going to be starting, if we get a CDM, we're going into the season with not many question marks in our squad, at least in our starting squad. Maybe you have question marks about depth and whatnot, but then we're going to have the whole goalkeeping question mark. And that's the one question mark you just never want to have on the pitch. You want your goalkeeper to be like the most confident person on the pitch because he ultimately is crucial for your success, right? And if we're going into games with, a full Old Trafford and Dean Henderson's thinking in the back of my head, oh my God, if I make a mistake, it's over. Like, De Gea's going to start. Or if De Gea's thinking, oh my God, this Dean guy's going to get in if I make a mistake. Like, that's not good for anybody. It's not good for them. It's not good for Ollie. It's not good for us as fans. It's only good for our rivals. It's literally only good for our rivals. So I really hope that gets resolved. But look, I'm just happy that we're getting players back in training. We're getting closer and closer to that point. Of course, there's going to be the match tomorrow against Derby. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of the youngsters play. I really want to watch Elanga play. I don't know about you guys, but Elanga, every time I see him, he just impresses. And so I'm looking forward to seeing some of the youngsters play. I see people in chat saying, continue to talk about, Vinicius and whatnot, because obviously if you are tuning in, we talked about Vinicius at the top of the show, and so you can rewind there. But the general consensus is, look, we know we don't need Vinicius, and I don't think we are really in for Vinicius. I do think it is just a matter of Madrid shopping Vinicius around because they're trying to gain funds to sign Mbappe. Morad in chat saying DDG should be number 1. We got Cavi saying sell goalkeeper with buyback clause. Look, honestly, if after Dean Henderson's Sheffield loan, we had sold him with a buyback clause, I think that would have been the right thing to do. But you can't sell Dean Henderson now with a buyback clause. You can't sell him with a buyback clause now. You're not going to be able to sell him with a buyback clause because it's going to be so. Obviously, it's not going to be as expensive as buying De Gea, but whoever buys him, it's going to be expensive. He's a young English goalkeeper who looks like he's going to be a top goalkeeper. He's on pretty big wages, right, compared to other clubs, you know, around the Prem and, you know, even in Europe. Like, he's going to be a pretty penny. So no club, realistically, who is in the market for a goalkeeper is going to buy Dean Henderson, pay a lot of money for him, and then be like, yeah, we'll put a buyback clause. Even if the buyback clause is a bit expensive, like, that's just, I just don't see that happening. Maybe you could have done that a couple years ago, right? Like after he had done that loan spell at Sheffield, but I just don't see that happening now. You're not going to be able to do that now, and it's a shame. It's a shame because I think that probably would have been the best thing to do. I think that probably would have been the best thing to do because at this stage we would have had De Gea and there wouldn't have been any sort of doubts. And if, you know, De Gea didn't live up to the expectation, then you look at maybe, you know, then it becomes more clear because now it's all murky because you have Dean in, De Gea in, sometimes like you're not seeing them fully at their best capacity. But if it had just been De Gea and like just De Gea just wasn't good enough, then people would have been like, yo, we got a buyback clause on Dean, like get him back. It would have been that. And, you know, that would have been a possibility. But now we're just in a royal mess. We're in a royal mess. It feels like every conversation about the goalkeeping situation just ends in somebody going, you know what's mad? It's so messed up that we can't even do nothing about it. And so we're just going to end up going into the season with both of them. And that's not a good situation. That's not a good situation. Hope Ollie doesn't loan out Diallo and sell James. Look, I hope we keep Diallo. Because Diallo, I made this point to Mark on a show a couple of days ago, and I said to him, and I'll pose the question to you if you weren't here. Look, when you saw Diallo this season, was there anything you saw from Diallo that concerned you? For me, no. All I saw was a brilliant young player with plenty of potential. Of course, he's got plenty of room to grow. So it's not like I'm saying he's the perfect player, but like, there wasn't anything that made me think, oh, okay, maybe he's not actually, you know, I don't know about him. Like, there was nothing that made me think that with Diallo. All I got from Diallo when watching him last season was, wow, this kid is good. He's got a long way to go and he's got so much potential. Do you know what I mean? He is the future. You are right. You are right in chat for saying that. He is the future. And, you know, however that slots in with Sancho and Rashford and all those guys, their timeline, however that slots in, I'm not thinking about that now. That's not important now. But what is important is keeping him at the club and giving him opportunities to continue to develop against Premier League talent that ultimately he will be facing in a couple of years because he's good enough to face that kind of talent. Paras with a super chat here coming in saying, regarding the Trippier deal, do you reckon Ollie is thinking 3 at the back with Maguire and Varane? Now, obviously we've heard talks about there being a system change in terms of, you know, us maybe switching to a 4-3-3. And earlier in the summer, there were talks about potentially, you know, us playing a 3 at the back and Wan-Bissaka as a centre back, like some crazy stuff like that. I don't even know what that was about, but I don't necessarily think we're going to be implementing a 3 at the back. Now, what I will say is, it's not like it's impossible. Like, we've seen us play a 5 at the back under Ollie before, right? But just the direction the squad's going, I don't see that happening. Pardon me. We have so much attacking talent now that if we're going to play a formation that means we're losing one of those great attacking players, like, it's already hard enough for Ollie to squeeze in all the attacking players we've got in, right? And so for him to now play a system where you take one of those players out, this makes it even harder. And so I don't necessarily think that. But of course, right, Ollie's the kind of manager who will he will often play to his opponent, right? So if he thinks against a certain opponent we need to play a 3 at the back, he'll do that, right? And fair enough, like, that's his style of management. It's a style of management that works for plenty of managers, right? We've seen plenty of managers have success that way. And if the players are sort of tactically astute enough to absorb, you know, his adjustments, then so be it. So be it. But no, I don't think that's why Trippier is being linked to us. I think Trippier is more so being linked to us because they want competition for Wan-Bissaka and they want somebody who can step up when Wan-Bissaka needs a break, because Wan-Bissaka's been one of those Iron Man players for us where Wan-Bissaka has just been non-stop just playing games, just non-stop games, right? and Trippier is a different type of right back, and so he offers a different sort of level of dynamism for us going forward, and even in a defensive way. So Gary Turner coming in. Shout out Gary Turner, man. Appreciate you. Always super chatting when I'm on the show, so I appreciate that. Almost read that wrong. Atletico Madrid aren't prepared to sell Kieran Trippier to Manchester United this summer. That is a report according to Spanish outlet AS. And look, we have the Kieran Trippier story was very hot towards the start of the summer. It got very cold and it started to heat up again in recent days. Now, the reality of Kieran Trippier is his family loves Manchester United. I'm pretty sure they are from Manchester and they live in Manchester. He probably grew up supporting United and he probably does want to play for Manchester United. That's the reality, right? Whether we can get that deal done or not is just up to, Atletico Madrid to not sort of hold us over a barrel. Now, watching Mark's show earlier, he was talking about the fact that Trippier has 1 year left in his contract. And if that's the case, then Madrid aren't in a position of power. If that's the case, right? Madrid are not in a position of power to be able to say, yeah, we're not getting rid of him because you'll just lose him in January. And maybe they're fine with that. Maybe they're stubborn and they'll be fine with that. But if it is true that he has a year left on his contract, then by the end of the window, it's going to get to the stage where it's like, what, you're still not selling him, yeah? You're not selling him? Closer and closer to the deadline. What, you're still not selling him? He's going to leave in January for free. Like, he's going to join us from the free in January. Like, you're still not selling him? And then, like, by the end of the window, they'll be like, you know what, fair enough. Like, 20 million, you can have him. Do you know what I mean? So if that is true that, he has a year left on his contract, of course, that itself is a bit of like murky information. I feel like I've not seen it definitively that, that is the case. But look, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind Trippier. I wouldn't mind Trippier. Of course, there was also a report, I forgot who it's from, so forgive me for not being able to quote the source, but I did remember seeing a report saying that like he has no intention of coming to be the backup. And like, I like that because it's like, that mentality is good. Like, I know people clowned Tom Heaton for having that mentality when he got announced, but it's like, that mentality is good. Of course, like, Tom Heaton's not going to actually challenge Dean Henderson or, hey, you never know if Ollie, maybe, we will throw Tom Heaton in. But, you know what I mean? Like, Heaton's realistically not going to challenge, but it's good that he wants to. Like, it's good that he's coming in with that mindset because it pushes people in training. It makes everybody have to work harder. And it's good that Trippier is doing that as well, if that's the case, right? But the thing with Trippier is that it's a bit different because Trippier might actually have a claim to the right-back spot over Wan-Bissaka. I don't think so, but he might, he got picked for England, Wan-Bissaka didn't, right? So maybe, people are split in that sense. But look, regardless, I don't have a problem with Trippier thinking that. I think you should think that. Do you know what I mean? I think Alex Tellers would have come into United thinking that, right? Look, Alex Tellers would have come into United thinking, yeah, I'm going to challenge Luke Shaw and I'm going to be the number 1 left-back. And whether that works out or not, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we're a big family and, we all want the best for each other. That's how it should be. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I wouldn't mind Trippier coming in. I think he's got a great blend of experience and professionalism that, you want in a squad because he can still perform at a high level. I think it's very easy to say that and go, hold on a minute, Evan. You want him because of his experience and professionalism? So why are you so upset about, people like Matic and Matt saying like, no, Trippier has that professionalism and all that, but he can also still play week in, week out at a high level and, compete for a place in our squad. Whereas the likes of Mata and Matic, as much as I love them, probably aren't doing that anymore, right? So that's just how it is. KK Gaming saying Sancho announcement, question mark. I'm saying the same thing, brother. I'm saying the exact same thing. I feel like it's been ages since you've done the show. Look, it's been a while, but we're back. We're vibing. There's been plenty going on. I think with the Euros finally being done, we can finally just start to focus solely on United and we can, be excited because I'm going to be watching, the game against Derby tomorrow. Let me know in chat if you're going to be watching as well. I think people are going to be, tweeting out links and stuff to watch it on, because, Glazers out and all that. But yeah, if you're going to be watching that, be sure to let me know. I think it'll be fun, especially because I think there'll be a good blend of the youngsters playing. And some of the youngsters, like I said earlier, man, like they just never stop impressing. Like people like Elanga, even I'll be excited to see Brandon Williams. You know what I mean? I want to see Brandon Williams play. Like I just want to see all these guys play some football. You know what I mean? And rep the shirt. And obviously they'll be wearing the new shirt, right? So it should be some fun. We got a super chat here from Paris. Shout out Paris again with another super chat. The more the Sancho announcement gets delayed, the more I think United will unveil all three signings together. Would be a classic Glaven mood to turn aside. And yeah, Paris, like I said earlier, like I do think that is a possibility. Like, you're right. The longer this happens, the more likely we are that, you know, they will try and unveil the signings together, because that it's like the Galactico thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like announcing all these massive players we signed all at one time. It generates excitement. And, you know, that's what they want at the end of the day. That's all they want. Lucas says, hello, Lucas. Hope you're having a great evening. What if Sancho cannot play well on the right? We might have to sign another left winger. We might have signed another left winger. And a lot of people had this concern, and what will often happen is, look, don't get me wrong, like if you were to go on YouTube right now and type in Sancho compilation, a lot of the stuff you will see is on the left. But when you watch Dortmund play, Sancho, he's one of those players who he likes to sort of be almost everywhere, right? He'll start off on the right, be on the left, swap back, and, you know, he'll rotate, you know what I mean? He'll move. And even if you might not see a lot of the highlights on the left, they are there. They do exist. I saw somebody, I wish I could remember the account, but there was somebody who made a great compilation of just Sancho doing a bunch of stuff, mainly just on the right-hand side. And you're watching it and you're thinking, wow, I cannot wait for him to be doing this in a United shirt, because that's what we need. But he can definitely play on the right. This idea that he maybe cannot, trust me, guys, it's just not the case. You know, he can play on the right. We saw him do it for England. He did it really well in that game. And even in that game was an example of him playing on the right. But for a large spell of that game, he was on the left, right? And then Sterling went over to the right. And we could see that, right? We could see where, you know, maybe in a phase of the game, not for the whole game, but in a certain phase of the game for like a 10-minute stretch or so, you know, Sancho will come on the left and Rashford will go on the right, or whoever is on the left might rotate. Do you know what I mean? And the beauty of it as well is that if we're playing like Greenwood as our number 9 instead of Cavani for a game, and you have Rashford, Greenwood, and Sancho, all three of those guys can rotate. So then you could end up seeing Greenwood come out to the right, Rashford will go up front, Sancho on the back. Do you know what I mean? All three of those guys can be sort of free moving and all sort of rotate, and it will be beautiful football. Like, look at me. We are going to play some beautiful football. I genuinely do believe that we are going to play some beautiful football next season, especially some beautiful attacking football. And if we are playing a 4-3-3 system where we have, you know, two sort of 3-8s being Bruno and Pogba getting involved in that, as, oh my, guys, I cannot stress enough. It's going to be something special. It's going to be absolutely something special. Vinit coming in with the super chat saying, waiting to see Hannibal Mejbri. Look, Hannibal probably is going to get some time. He's probably going to get some time in these preseason games, and that's going to be good. That's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. Because all of our young players are so talented. We have a lot of great talented young players coming through, and, you know, that's only a good thing for United. Troy Diaz says, according to Sky Sports Football, United close to agreeing a deal, close to agreeing personal terms with Varane. Well, yeah, like, you know, the updates on Varane are that personal terms are agreed, right? Like, personal terms are not an issue. Similar to what we had with Sancho, the personal terms aren't the issue. Romano's come out and saying that, you know, he's ready to sign the deal until 2026 or something like that, right? So that's not, you know, that's not going to be an issue. Rizzo D saying Vinicius, who? Don't worry, guys. You ain't got to worry about Vinicius. Someone said, who is Vinicius? If you don't know Vinicius, you know, fair enough. If you don't watch anything other than the Premier League, you probably might not know Vinicius. But Vinicius is a winger for Real Madrid. But trust me, you don't have to worry about him. He won't be a winger for Manchester United anytime soon. So you won't have to worry about that. For the first time in ages, I actually feel confident about the new season. And there's reason to feel confident, because, you know, you look at the attacking talent we have, you know, especially if there's going to be a change in system, like, we can play some great football. We have the ability to play some great football. And I think it's very easy, because we love the club and because we always want to see the club do well. When the bad things happen, we sort of remember those most, because it's like, you know, it makes you feel sort of pain in that sense, right? You'll remember the Fred mistake, or you remember the Lindelof mistake, or the Dean Henderson mistake, or whatever. But if you go back and rewatch games from last season, like, there were spells where obviously we were the second half merchants, but there were spells in those games where we are playing beautiful football. And, you know, you add Sancho to the mix, and, you know, you bring Pogba in while also playing Rashford and whatnot, like, and it gets scary. It genuinely gets scary. Like, we are going to be a serious team next season. We will be. I genuinely believe that with all my heart. Mohammed asked me, Ben White, 50 mil, what are your thoughts? Well, Zayn Miasi came in with a super chat earlier in the stream, and I gave him my thoughts because he, as an Arsenal fan, is quite frustrated about it. And, you know, that's all you need to know, really, right? If Arsenal fans are frustrated about paying 50 mil for Ben White, then that's all you need to know, brother. That's all you need to know. We have enough talent up top and on the wing, focus on the core, and we will be challengers. Yeah, and that's why I think, you know, once we get this Varane deal over the line, you have to be looking at the CDM role. You have to be looking at the CDM role. And the reality is, you know, you want somebody in that role who can anchor, who can sort of play as the anchor for the midfield. Somebody who's going to sit in that hole and, you know, be sort of like somebody who can just recycle the ball. Like we talk about all the time, somebody who can recycle the ball, somebody who can screen the back four as well, right? Because if you're playing a 4-3-3, you need that DM to be active, you know, left and right, like going left and right, making sure they're covering everything. And you know, you want someone who's really good defensively, who will get loads of blocks, loads of interceptions, someone who can read the game well. And we most importantly need someone with a decent pass range, someone who can progress the ball, someone who is press resistant, because that's the problem, right? The problem with Fred and McTominay, it's not like they're completely useless players, but, you know, when Fred gets the ball, you know, Mark has a joke about him having like a trampoline on his foot, right? You know, his first touch isn't as great, right? And so sometimes, you know, he might take a heavier touch, right? And that time he takes to take a heavier touch, the opposition team's pressing us now. And they're pressing us. Now he has to make a more difficult pass. And by this point, you know, he's already wasted a couple seconds, whereas, you know, a better player might have picked up the ball, turned quickly, look, you play a pass forward, the ball's moving quick, you know what I mean? We're playing fast, fluid football. And sometimes you lack that with Fred. Do you know what I mean? And so if we can bring in someone to do that a lot better, like, we're going to be so dangerous. We're going to be so dangerous. Look, guys, I'll be honest, man. I'm super excited. Like, you know, we always, obviously, we start off with the news, and we've covered all the, you know, the big stories of the day. And, you know, Mark also covered a lot of them earlier in the day. At the end of the day, like, the fact that we always end up in this situation where we're just talking about the football we're going to play, it's because that's what everyone's so excited to see. Like, we all just want to get to a point where we can see us finally kick off with our, like, starting team, with our strongest team, you know, Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left, Cavani up front, Bruno, Pogba, a good DM, you know, the back foot. Oh my God. We're going to be a problem. We're going to be a serious problem. Guys, let me know what you guys think of all the news we've gotten today. Do you think Varane to United is almost done? Do you think Lingard should be staying? Do you think that David De Gea is right to come in, but for coming back early to try and sneak his way into the #1 spot? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Be sure to like the video. My name's Levin2K. It's been a pleasure being here with you tonight. See you guys all soon. Goodbye.